I think the world needs more people to be themselves than to be somebody else. And in this culture of social media, and I'm just this, or I'm just that, I'm just a mom, I'm just a business lady, I'm just a boss lady, it's very dangerous because it doesn't help us grow. And so I think showing up as your authentic self and always growing, like always leveling up. If you're just like comfortable where you're at, then the world's missing out, and so are you. I really do believe people need to do hard things. I believe it in my core that when we level up, it takes us to new levels with people and the people we're surrounded with.
As a young child, Edwina Adams was quiet by nature. She would whisper when speaking. In boot camp, she was thrashed for not yelling loud enough. But when she discovered her ex-husband was a con man, she started to make noise, proving you don't have to be loud to make some noise. Now Edwina's on a mission to motivate. So kick back and tune in for candid conversations with those who have harnessed the power of their voices. Let's make some noise.
Welcome to Let's Make Some Noise, where no matter what you sound like, you can make some noise, and where noise is my acronym for a narrative of inspiration, strength, and encouragement. I'm Edwina Adams, and today I have noisemaker Ashlee Latimer joining me. She's an entrepreneur wife, a mom to 5 amazing children, and she's a former cheerleader who founded Unicorn Squad, where she continues to cheer on other entrepreneur wives, which is amazing because I don't really know of anybody else doing that. So welcome, Ashlee.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad to be here. I love that you're wearing pink. It's like we knew that there was like a color combination here, but we didn't plan it, everybody. I am so thankful to be with you because you're such a cheerleader of people and such a joy-filled person. And so I'm really honored to be here. And my favorite is clapping and cheering for people, not just entrepreneur wives, but entrepreneur families and entrepreneur kids and moms and wives and all the things. So I'm ready. So you just ask me whatever you want and let's just see where this goes.
All right. Yes. And you are an amazing cheerleader. I see your little sign in the back, the Unicorn Squad. I love it. So what is Unicorn Squad exactly?
Unicorn Squad is, it's definitely different things, but here's what it mainly does. See, I've been an entrepreneur wife for 15 years, a supportive entrepreneur wife for 10, and an on-fire entrepreneur wife for the last 5. And I've been saying that for a while, so it's really kind of 17 years to be honest, but I haven't always been a supportive entrepreneur wife. And now in the last few years, I've stepped into a role as being an entrepreneur. And then I also have a role in our company as marketing director. So I hold a lot of different hats and a lot of different roles inside of this thing we call life. I'm a mom of 5. But the Unicorn Squad is, I want to say a safe place, but it's a coaching program for entrepreneur wives. Some of the unicorns in the Unicorn Squad are just what they called just moms, or they're just a trad wife, or they're like stay-at-home moms. Some of them are entrepreneurs, and some of them became entrepreneurs because of the Unicorn Squad. So there's lots of different women inside of the Unicorn Squad, but it's usually wrapped around that they're either their spouse or their spouse and them together own a company and are trying to run it, and all the craziness that includes.
Right. And I know some of your story, but for the listeners, what made you want to start something like that? What about your journey and the adversity you went through made you make this kind of noise?
I want to say that it started in 2017 or 16 when my husband sent $25,000 on the internet to Russell Brunson and joined his Inner Circle Mastermind. I remember it like it was yesterday. I came home with groceries and he was like, hey, I sent 25,000. And up until this point, we had just spent like $1 million to create a software, and it only made 900,000. So like we still were pretty short there, and we weren't taking a paycheck. But I say all this because of this. What happened is when your spouse starts to really outgrow you, it's very intimidating. And we started networking with higher level thinking people. He asked me to go to a mastermind with him. And when he asked me to go to a mastermind with him, I didn't want to look like an idiot. And I played a role in his company, but like a background role. I was never front stage. I was behind the scenes, like gluing it all together and like putting a happy bow on it and trying to do all the things. But I hadn't really leveled up, and it was intimidating to me to watch my husband level up. And it was also intimidating because I think we're going to probably hit on it a little bit, but like I saw when I went to these masterminds, these boss babes. And I worked inside my husband's company, but I really wasn't the main, I was backstage, but I also wasn't a stay-at-home wife. And so I was trying to navigate and figure out, who am I? Who's talking to me? And so I started to level up. And as people started to see me level up, the way I started showing up for my husband and learning how to clap and cheer for his business and for myself and for my family, people started to notice. And they're like, I want what you have. And so Entrepreneur Wives started to say, hey, that's so great that your husband created a coaching program, but what about for the ladies? Because we're also behind the scenes holding it together. And we're losing our minds, and we want to glow up. We want to up level too. And then so I created the Unicorn Squad, and it's been the most fascinating thing that I have ever done. So rewarding because it's made me level up even more, but such an amazing experience to walk alongside people and watch their level up, and their companies are making more money, like they're happier at home, and these women have created companies and they're just showing up different. And I think sometimes we forget. We put these labels on people like entrepreneur, stay-at-home mom, 9-to-5 job, I'm a this, I'm a that. And we forget that it's actually not black or white. It's kind of gray, but it's okay to be celebrated in those in-between roles.
Right.
So,
And it's just ever evolving, like you said. I mean, what you've done just has evolved and continues to evolve. And I'm sure, like you said, you're seeing that within your own coaching program, these women just evolving. So yeah, it's never black and white. And that's really, really cool. What would you say is your number one piece of advice you love to give women when they're first coming into your coaching program?
I think what I'm really great at is I am great at being my authentic self. And it's very contagious, and it gives people permission to be their authentic self.
Yeah.
And I say that because I think the world needs more people to be themselves than to be somebody else. And in this culture of social media and I'm just this, or I'm just that, I'm just a mom, I'm just a business lady, I'm just a boss lady, it's very dangerous because it doesn't help us grow. And so I think showing up as your authentic self and always growing, like always leveling up. If you're just like comfortable where you're at, then the world's missing out, and so are you.
Definitely.
I really do believe people need to do hard things. I believe it in my core that when we level up, it takes us to new levels with people and the people we're surrounded with. And so learning to clap and cheer for yourself is also the ability to give yourself permission to be yourself and to continue to grow.
Yes. But the best way to learn to clap and cheer for yourself is to surround yourself with others, right? And that's why something like your program is so important and helping so many people. So very, very cool. And I know that this is something y'all are passionate about, like your whole family. Your husband has mentored me for years, and you have mentored me in it alongside him. And I see the passion that you guys have. Tell the audience about that, like Honor and Fire. You have just like this whole big thing that is changing the world.
Yes. So our mission is to equip entrepreneur families to grow their companies, to build wealth, to become radically generous, and to engineer a family culture that changes the world. Like our world needs more entrepreneurs crushing it and crushing it as a team, because if you look out in the world, it's a hot mess. It's a hot mess. And that I don't even need to highlight that. Yeah, I'm sorry to tell
Uh-huh.
everybody that it's a hot mess, but um, the world needs more people clapping and cheering on small business. We love, it's like the heartbeat of the United States and of the world, and it just needs to grow stronger. And we really want to create freedom for entrepreneur families. And so we have been doing a lot of things with like resources. And my husband has this really cool thing that we've been working on, a software tool with a coaching program. We're really starting something, it's like decentralized coaching. And it's so epic, but it's to benefit small business owners and to put more profits back into their lives and their homes and their families. And so we do have like other resources that we've built alongside of it, but now we're starting to package it all together. We're taking my husband's brain, because he's coached over 1,000 business owners, created over 100 millionaires. Like he, he's had a software company and a coaching company, and now we're taking all the things that he did really well and packaging it,
Right. Very
right?
cool.
And we're wrapping it with we're eventually going to have kid coaching, and we do have the kid war plan, which was for entrepreneur kids. We're not really selling those right now, but we're going to be relaunching that, and that our app is going to house not just a place where people can make more money and learn about marketing and learn about all the things that are in my husband's brain, but then they can also have the unicorn squad, which is for the entrepreneur wives, and then the kid war plan and kid war plan coaching inside of there.
Oh,
So
that's so
we have a lot of
neat.
cool, yeah, we have a lot of cool things coming for entrepreneur families because they need help.
They do. Families are so broken, and my husband's a mental therapist, and we just have to shake our heads and pray. Like it's really sad. So anything like this that can help is just so badly needed. And I didn't know that it was going to include kid coaching. I love that. Very cool.
Well, that's kind of a secret. So I
Okay.
know we're doing a podcast. So it's coming soon, everybody. In the app, well, I can tell you this, there's a secret button in the app. You can just go try to jump around in there, try to get it. But like, there's a secret portion in our app that unlocks honor and fire mode. And when it unlocks it, right now it tracks date nights and special times with your kids and stuff. And like my husband and I have done a lot of things like programs where we help families get their own family logo and their manifesto. And, we have Latimer of the month. And so we do a lot of family systems in our family, and we're going to share those inside of there just for the end users to get their families radically free financially and just emotionally and ready to crush life. We want families to just build a legacy.
Yeah. We're all better when our neighbors are better. So it's
Yeah.
important. Very, very cool. I was going to touch on something because I've heard you talk about this, and I'll let you tell the story. But I know with your unicorn squad, you've been at these events where there's a lot of men and they're the entrepreneur and they kind of got this bro attitude. And they come up to you and they're like, "Hey, Ashlee, when are you going to fix my wife?" And I love your
Uh,
response to this. Fill us in on that.
yeah. Unfortunately, I can say that that's happened more than once and more than a handful of times. And the first time it happened, I was like, what in the world? And so my response, because sometimes I have no filter, it has become my response any time someone says it. And so when a husband comes up to me and says, "Hey, Ashlee, I either want to pay you or how can I get my wife to talk to you because can you fix her? I need you to fix my wife." And so I always ask, "Oh, okay, great. Can you tell me who broke her?" Because that's the first place I need to look. And usually the man has this look on his face like, "Oh, it was me. It was my crazy entrepreneur ideas." Um, One of the hard things with entrepreneurship is sometimes the business isn't working, but the entrepreneur is like saying, "It's going to work this year, babe. It's going to." And so the entrepreneur wives start to get a little bit more
And
negative
bitter. And
because
yeah.
it's not, they're getting bitter because things aren't coming to fruition. And so she just feels like she's being dragged along. And so that's when things start to break. When the business starts I always say that in the beginning, I felt like my husband's business was the mistress. She got all of our money, all of our resources, all of his time. She was a greedy
Oh, man.
mistress, and she took all of the
Yeah.
things. until we started working on it. Like, we almost got divorced. I don't know if probably nobody knows that on this podcast, but like, my husband told me that he quit his cushy 9 to 5 job when my son was 6 months old. And after that, it was like a sheer panic. Like, what are you doing? And then at the 3 month, not 3 month, I'm sorry, my brain. At the 3 year mark, his company started to work because he added systems and all of these things, but he had neglected his family for 3 years. And so by the time he came back to celebrate his great success of business, his family was in shambles. And so we were on the brink of divorce. And that's when he actually activated family systems. He's like, if systems worked for my business, they'll probably work for my family. And then we've been on an adventure and journey to try to fix it ever since. And now we include our family in our company. And it's a beautiful thing of how families, and especially entrepreneur families, can work together. So
It is a beautiful thing, and your story is more common than not, right? I mean, that's why, again, why it's so important what you're doing. So very, very cool. What would you say have been some of the most challenging things over the past year for you?
ooh, over the past year, I think there's this thought that when you get to a certain place, that hard things stop happening. And when you start to level up, there's actually bigger giants to slay,
Right.
but you're more equipped. And it actually doesn't get harder for the head trash because you're like, oh, this isn't that big of a deal. But I will tell you that hustle and grind season, the last time over, lasted a little long. And so that was a little tricky. But I just had to do a reset season. So I went in the woods. I was in Michigan with my kiddos while my husband we were flying back and forth. And that's really straining on a relationship when you're like back and forth. But I needed that reset because I was burnt out from the last hustle and grind season.
Yeah.
But it's really was a beautiful season because now we're going into hustle and grind season and I'm at a different level, so the giants don't feel so big. Now there's always going to be bigger giants, but I'm going to get a bigger sword and bigger muscles and bigger head game, right? And then to be a little petty, my well broke twice in Michigan and it broke twice here in Texas. And I'm just like, so the water thing
That's
is like, I
weird.
don't think it's so weird. And I think God's like, okay, you failed the test last time. Let's see if I make the well go out again. Not that God's doing that, but
Right.
I think I've been failing the test of the water and the well situation.
There's a
So
message here. What
this
is
last,
it?
yeah, I didn't learn. And so sometimes I'm a painful, but I don't have a well right now, actually. And so, but you know what? This time I just kind of giggled and I was like, obviously,
Yeah, what are you
like
going to do?
what? I mean, now I'm like an expert at living like I'm Little House on the Prairie. So,
Well, Ashley, where can people connect with you online?
they can actually connect with me either on social media with like Ashlee Latimer, or my handle on Instagram is the Unicorn Squad, but I really go by Ashlee Latimer. I have 2 Instagrams. It's very confusing. I'm working
All
on
right.
it. They can follow me. They could also go to warplan.com. I have a lot of places, I guess. That's not helpful to anybody, I know. But the Unicorn Squad is actually closed right now
Okay.
because it's getting the revamp of the move into the software. And so you can't join the Unicorn Squad right now or Kid Warplan Coaching, but it's coming soon.
Very cool. So connect with her, and then she'll let you know when it's back open. But definitely connect with her if this appeals
Absolutely.
to you. And if you're an entrepreneur wife, don't come back to it and be like, oh, I'll find her later. Just find her. Trust me.
Yeah,
So
just find me. Be my friend. I would love to connect with anybody who's like, oh my gosh, I am going through that. That's my life. My life's crazy. I'm here for you.
right. Very cool. Was there anything else you'd love to share with us?
Well, we kind of had mentioned about the trad wife, and you
Oh,
said maybe you were
yeah.
going to ask me, and so I will just go with it.
Definitely.
I think our society, like I kind of was talking about earlier, is like there's this trad wife like the traditional wife, and it's really leaning that way. For the last few years, it was be a boss babe, be a boss lady. And then in the last few years with the social media, it's like be a trad wife, make sourdough bread, make your own, like use essential oils and make your own laundry soap and freeze dry everything. Like own goats, which I would
And
love to own
chickens.
goats, but
I know I have a lot of friends that own chickens
chickens.
now. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yes, they own chickens. My mom and dad own chickens. I do love chickens. Maybe someday I'll be a chicken lady. But I find it very difficult to be either one. And that is I'm going to cry now. That is a lot of pressure on a woman when you feel like I am not 100% boss babe. I work in, like, I am a owner with my husband. We are entrepreneurs together, but I'm not the driver. I'm not the boss babe. If it all goes away tomorrow, I'll go work at Walmart and be a greeter, and I'll be the best dang Walmart greeter you've ever met. I do love business, and I know marketing, and I've done some cool stuff, right? But I don't feel like I'm a boss babe. But let me be very clear. I am not a sourdough maker or a goat herder. I love goats and I would love goats someday, but like I am not a trad wife. So I found a problem when this started happening because I didn't feel like I resonated with either.
Yeah.
And so I decided that I'm going to make a middle group. I'm going to be a boss lady and a trad wife, and I can be both, and no one can tell me that I
There you
can't.
go.
I don't have to make sourdough to be a traditional wife who's like, yeah, babe, you got this. I love your face. You do whatever you want. And I could also be a boss babe and say, hey, I'm going to help you with this marketing thing today. So like, I believe that you can do both, but I think our brain and social media likes to separate those because we want to identify and attach to one of them, but we can create our own category. And that's what I'm encouraging women to do, is to create your own category.
Yeah, and I identify with that because, I've been a business owner. I was a business owner with my husband for 7 years, 6, 7 years. And then I've been one on my own, but I did it at the most ridiculous time. I shouldn't have started it because I had a 4-month-old and a barely 2-year-old. They were both in diapers. He was in school full time. It was just me, and I had no money for a babysitter. And I was like, what did I just do? And I just struggled and struggled and struggled because I couldn't get out and do all the things like the bros were doing, and I just felt like this, and they were doing this. And it's like, am I a stay-at-home mommy? Am I a business owner? Like, what am I? And like I said, I finally figured out I am both, and I'm going to embrace that, but it's just going to look different, and I'm going to be okay with that.
Yeah, and we also need to like learn as women, because like I'll be honest, sometimes women tear down women more than men are keeping you back, ladies. Like we can give our judgy eyes, and I'm on some mommy Facebook groups, and I'm like, oh, this is awful. This is like some of these people might be the evil stepmothers we have seen in Disney movies. Like they are outright sending poison apples everywhere.
Yeah.
Okay. And so as women, we need to show up realizing that everybody has their own category, the authentically showing up in their space, in their role that they're creating. Like, because I've been in rooms where boss babes belittle moms or trad wives. And I've been in rooms where trad wives belittle boss babes. But we got to knock that off, ladies.
Exactly. Yep.
We got to say that you can be both.
Yep.
And there's no guilt.
Yeah.
Like, a mom doesn't need extra guilt. We already do that by ourselves very well. A wife doesn't need extra guilt.
No.
I got that one covered. No other lady needs to be adding it to my plate. I'm already good in that area.
Amen. Well, that is, I figured we would have some similar thoughts on that, and I'm glad we talked about that, because I know there are other people out there too, just being like, what am I? Where do I fit into all this, and how am I supposed to show up? And you show up the way you want to show up. That's what you do, and just ignore the lies, that are out there, for sure, and find the right group of people to hang out with. Find a better group.
Yes. Find a better group, and find a group that's going to be authentic and celebrate you in the way that you show up. There's been moments in my life where I needed people to clap and cheer. And they did. And now there's seasons where I can show up for other people and clap and cheer.
Yeah.
And so we just also need to be very graceful on the way that our seasons, our roles and our seasons might not match up all the time, but that doesn't mean we can't celebrate people where they're at and where they're going and the growth through it. So,
All right. Well, thank you so much, Ashlee. This was
thank you.
amazing, and I love the conversation.
I needed a midday cry. That's all I
Good.
needed.
I can't believe I have tears, but I can't believe I was like holding them back. Well, thank you everybody for joining us, and definitely go check out Ashlee. We'll put her information up on the screen if you're watching on YouTube. And I also want to add in here, I have partnered with Soldier Socks. This is a company that was born in 2010. They are a American-made sock company, high quality, and it's really cool because you buy a sock and they give a sock to a military member. And socks are really important in the military if you don't know. But you can use promo code NOISE and get 10% off. Go to their website. It's SOLEDIER sock.com. All right. And to check me out, connect with me, I'm at edwinaadams.com. And until then, keep making noise.
Let's Make Some Noise is produced by Podcast Architects.